The independent counsel investigation that began last December looking into the corruption scandal surrounding the presidential office has come to an end. Our Hwang Hojun, who's been reporting from the independent counsel office since last December, is here with us in the studio tonight. Hojun, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure to be here.
So that's it. The scandal and the probe that's been investigating it from the highest level of politics into business, even overseas, is over, at least for the investigators.
I mean, you're absolutely right. The 70-day-long investigation that started last December by the independent counsel Park Young-soo and his team of investigators has finally come to an end. Now, that's 90 days if we include the 20 days of prep time. The independent counsel actually asked for a one-time 30-day extension prior to the expiration of its mandate, but the acting president and Prime Minister Hwang Hojun turned that down, citing the needs to stabilize state affairs. In today's afternoon briefing, the counsel team spokesperson confirmed a total of 17 suspects were indicted on the final day alone, and that means a total of 30 for the whole of the probe, and the highest number of indictments since 1999. The final briefing was much more hectic and significantly longer than usual, with probably the biggest turnout of reporters. Here's what the team spokesperson said at the end.
We've tried our best to satisfy the people's right to know, to make this probe as transparent and fair as possible. This is the last regular briefing, but we will continue to do our best to make sure all the cases begun during the probe are prosecuted.
So, Hojun, in your reporting, you've been talking about disappointment on the part of the investigators because they weren't able to get into all the allegations that the initial bill passed by Parliament asked them to do.
You're right. But the 70 days was actually enough to get key figures of the scandal prosecuted. Now, those include Choi Soon-sil, the woman at the center of the scandal, and the president's confidant on charges of bribery and concealing criminally obtained assets. And Samsung Electronics Vice Chairman Lee Jae-yong was also charged with bribery, embezzlement, hiding assets overseas, and committing perjury before Parliament. Former Presidential Chief of Staff Kim Ki-chun and former Culture Minister Cho Yoon-sun have already been indicted for their involvement in creating and executing a blacklist of artists and cultural figures critical toward the government. But of course, the independent counsel didn't get all that it wanted. The team ended its probe without questioning the president and searching the presidential office. Its search attempt failed earlier this month, halted by presidential aides due to security reasons. The negotiations for a face-to-face interrogation of Park fell apart due to the two sides' differences on how to secure transparency and fairness in the course of the questioning, which the independent counsel team and the presidential office are blaming each other for.
So this is the end of the investigation, at least for this special prosecutor and his team. But when do we get the findings, first of all? And the cases are still open, so what happens now?
Well, the team will have to disband, leaving only a skeleton staff, 8 out of the 20 original staff, actually. And the case is yet to be investigated, will be handed over to the public prosecutor's office. Now, the team initially said the results of the probe will be made public on Thursday. However, the spokesperson said in the afternoon that they're pushing it to Monday, owing to the sheer scale of the investigation. One interesting fact to note is that the counsel team also named President Park Geun-hye as a bribery suspect today for allegedly colluding with her friend Choi Soon-sil to pressure conglomerates, including Samsung, to make so-called donations worth millions of dollars to two foundations controlled by Choi. And according to the spokesperson, such move was to ensure the regular prosecution's immediate investigation when necessary. Now, President Park, however, who now awaits the Constitutional Court's decision on her impeachment, will not immediately face charges under Korea's constitution. A sitting president is immune from prosecution except for crimes such as high treason or of equivalent gravity. So you can see, Devin, the focus is now turning to the Constitutional Court, and it's really about whether the court will uphold the impeachment motion of President Park. And meaning, while it's a wrap for the independent counsel team, that's not so for the current political turmoil.
Right. Well, thanks for that, Hojun, and thanks for your coverage over the past couple of months.
My pleasure.